This is Dave Arnold, your host of Cooking Issues, coming to you live from the heart of Manhattan, Rockefeller Center, New York City, Newsstand Studios. Joined as usual with John across from me. How you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Doing great.
Yeah, happy. Got Joe Hazen rocking the panels. What's up?
Hey, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Yeah,
2025.
Yeah. Starting off the new year late, old school style. Bike would not die. In fact, the bike, for any of you who can see this on video, the bike is here in the studio with me, which for any of you who've never been to New York, it's a bone of contention in New York. Where people are like, you can't bring a bike in here. You're like, but I'm not a messenger. This is my bike. You can't bring it in. But it's folded. But it's a piece of jewelry. It's a freaking bolo tie. It's around my neck. You know what I mean? But that's when I used to have a folding bike. I would say that. It's like, now you have to take the freaking service elevator. So thanks, Joe, for letting me get the bike somehow into Rockefeller Center, because I know that was a pain in the Patoodleheimer. We'll call City Bike and have quote-unquote words with them afterwards. I should get Nastasia the Hammer Lopez. How you doing? Happy New Year, Stas.
Happy New Year. What would the incentive be for me to do that?
Just the joy of yelling at someone on the phone.
No, thank you.
It's coming from the person who threatened the life of a UPS. First of all, you wouldn't do it for me just because we're friends?
That was for our business.
You wouldn't do it because we're friends? Oh, all right.
No.
So now I know that I'll never move your crap again for no reason. Like, it's the last time ever I pick up all your teepee parts.
And your crap, too, and your piano and all your stuff from the Connecticut house.
I believe I moved the piano and you spent most of the time laughing at me. I believe what happened is you spent most of the time laughing at me. And you got free kayaks out of the deal. Oh, yeah, we forgot. I forgot all about the free Usually, I mean, not always. Sometimes I'm right. In this case, I'm right. Jackie Molecules, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm back in LA finally.
Nice. Upper left-hand corner, Quinn, what's up?
Hey, I'm good.
New Year treating you well?
Yeah.
Good.
So far.
And special Los Angeles guest, Mike Capoferri. So we know him from Thunderbolt, but now Thunderbolt LA, not Thunderbolt, Georgia, the town that Thunderbolt LA is named after. But there's a new bar. You want to talk about it, Mike? I haven't been yet, so you have to tell me everything.
Yeah, you got to come out and visit. It's a funny sort of reference before recording. You guys were talking about Jim Jarmusch because it's called Night on Earth, which is the name of one of his films.
Yeah.
And it's like up on Cahuenga Pass, so sort of near the Hollywood Bowl, adjacent to Hollywood and the Valley and Burbank and North Hollywood. And it is like a 50-year-old strip mall, classic LA dive bar that was sort of converted to a club before we got our hands on it. And now it is this sort of like 80s version of the future, dystopian kind of Blade Runner-y, neon demon-y cocktail bar that lights up in very fun ways and has a very cool sound system.
All right, so I have seen Night on Earth, but in my mind, I'm only thinking of the LA-based 80 horror comedy flick Night of the Comet. I assume they're different movies.
They're very different. Night on Earth is like 91 or 92. It's like sort of vignette-y, almost like 4-room style movie where it's like 5 cities around the world, and it's a single fare with a cab driver in that city. So it's like Winona Ryder in LA and what's his name? Roberto Giannini in Rome. Very fun. Good movie.
Werner Herzog, too.
Oh, my boy.
And Werner Herzog's in it.
Yeah. Best voice.
Helmet!
Yeah.
Best voice. Yeah, so that is quite different from Night of the Comet. But have you seen Night of the Comet?
I'm not.
How can you live in LA and not see Night of the Comet? Stop.
No,
have you seen Night of the Comet?
What year is this?
I don't know. Who knows?
No.
So the theory of Night of the Comet,
Is this one that takes place where they go into the cinema?
1984.
84. So the theory of Night of the Comet is, like it always happens, the comet goes over, and anyone who sees it basically turns into a zombie. So people who I think they snuck into a movie theater, or people who are underground are the people who are, And then, but some people are like semi-zombied, and then they end up being kind of the real bad folk because they still have kind of human emotions and interactions, but they're zombified. So they mess with you.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Night of the Comet. But it's like, for those of you that want to know what LA was like in the 80s in terms of I believe, now I haven't seen it since I was 13, right? But I believe there's some references to kind of pollution and the destruction of the environment, and there's some sort of meta thing there. So it's good LA views of smog, because that's kind of when LA was really peaking in terms of like just miasmal hellhole of like, you know, when you used to land there and like think that there was like, is that a storm? You're like, no, that's the air. That's just the air. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
All too well.
Yeah, it's a lot cleaner now.
Yeah,
though.
I was hoping for more of like the Demolition Man version of LA. That was the future I thought we'd have.
Yeah, was it one you would hope we would
ended up
have?
with Night of the Comet.
Yeah, you hoped we would have the Demolition Man? I don't know.
Flying cars and seashells instead of toilet paper. It's good.
Yeah. Of all of the movies with the word man in it, I always think of Repo Man. Not
Emilio
Candyman.
Estevez, right?
Not what?
Was that Emilio Estevez?
Repo Man. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. First of all, like, not even my favorite movie of his, by the way. And P.S. I'm a huge fan of Emilio Estevez schlock movies, like Maximum Overdrive, the, I believe, only movie completely scored by AC/DC. I mean, what else do you need to know?
Yeah.
What do you need to know? Machines Take Over, written and directed by Stephen King. And Stephen King, I believe, said, I was completely high the entire time we did it, and I probably shouldn't be making movies. I think that was his quote. But I've seen it more than 10 times. And I made Dax watch it too. So anywho, all right, on to, so Nastasia and Jack have been to your bar. What do the outside people think? You guys liked it, right?
It's the best bar in LA.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree.
So you're basically telling Mike that his
very,
other
very
bar
kind.
is crap-a-hall and only the new bar is good. to
That's
do
what
a
you're
Daniel Patterson.
saying,
To do
Dave.
a Daniel. No, it's not mine. That's Daniel Patterson. I never say that. I'm happy if you like everything. Why do you put
I
other
think we've
people's
done a
hang-ups on
good
me,
job
Stas?
updating. We've been updating Thunderbolt so it doesn't fall behind the new
nice.
bars. And you got to keep updating everything so it doesn't become
God.
obsolete when you open new stuff.
I
That's the
hate
goal
that.
anyway.
Wow, man, that like worrying about that stuff gets real old when you're in your 50s. You know what I'm saying? Oh God, you're giving me agita now. Stas, I'm sensing some sort of like, did I do something? Did I send like a bag of poop to your mom or something? Like, I'm getting some evil vibes off you today.
But there's no evil vibes. I'm trying to be positive about this. Like, we think it's the best bar in LA.
No, in general,
like,
not
we're
just this
saying-
comment. The entire time since we started talking, I'm getting some nasty vibes coming all the way across the country from you. I don't know, whatever. New Year's vibes.
Well,
Nastasia's New Year's
I'm not
resolution
gonna
is to be meaner to me, I guess.
No, that's not true. But I'm not going to call City Bike, and I'm not going to have you put down Mike's other bar. That's all.
I didn't put down any bar. You did. You said
I'm
he
feeling
has
very
two bars,
protected right
and
now,
one
and I
bar
appreciate
was
it.
the best bar in L.A., meaning the other bars clearly not. That's all right. It's fine. And it's a Daniel Patterson reference, which we've made on this show a million times. Anyway. All right. So, aside from starting new bars, or I bought a laser cutter, we could talk about that, and I finally modified my deep fryer. What do you guys have in the past? I guess it's like 2 or 3 weeks. By the way, if you have questions for the New Year's, you can call them in to 917-410-1507. That's 917-410-1507. Of course, you can call in if you are a Patreon subscriber. And who wants to tell them? Jack? John?
Yeah, I was in New York for a while, and apologies, I did not make it to John's place or Contra, but I did want to shout out 2 places that I checked out. Katana Kitten served crazy good drinks. Yeah, really, really good drinks. And then the second place I went was the Sunken Harbor Club, which I happened to sit down, I grab a drink, and I hear the bartender telling other patrons about their fancy centrifuge. Which, it's yours.
Well, I mean,
so
Garrett's
cool.
a friend of mine, so.
Yeah, it wasn't him talking, but
it's his bar, though.
Yeah, his bar. Yes, but they were putting it to good use, making some damn good tiki drinks.
I love Sunken Harbor. Anytime someone's like, I'm going to Brooklyn, where should I go? I'm like, have you been to Sunken Harbor?
It's the only place I've ever seen
it's
you
a fun
chug
time,
cocktails.
man.
You've never seen me chug a cocktail at my own bar?
Not at that
First of all,
rate.
I mean,
You were
They're chuggable.
they are chuggable.
His PIM cups play. You.
It's pimp, well, because it's
downing
relatively low alcohol.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it takes a Pim cup, which is always one of those drinks that like could be good but is not.
Yeah.
And he made it good. You know what I mean? So anytime someone takes something that could be good but is not, and they give it to you, and it comes to you, and you're like, I trust this person, but this is going to be trash, and you taste it, you're like, oh, you're boom, it just goes down. You know what I mean? And then you have to get another one. Anyway. Yeah.
That's how I felt about their zombie. I haven't had a good, like, proper zombie in a while. And
it's just not my style of drink. So it was good, though? I mean, it's just not, like, because in general, that's not my style of thingamajig. But it was good. I'm sure it was good. Anything that they put out, I trust them. I trust those guys. By the way, Contra, best bar that I have right now. I only have one. It's definitely the best bar at 138 Orchard Street in Manhattan. The best one, right? I guess, whatever. It doesn't matter. All right. So that's fun. So thanks for stopping by Contra. You would have drunk for free there. I'm sure you paid money wherever you went.
Oh, yeah, I did pay. It was a weird trip, man. I was not in control of everything. But
I know what that's like.
Yeah.
In fact, I enjoy it. When I go somewhere else and people are like, you have to go to X, you have to go to Y, you have to go to Z, I go, me, I have no control. And it's so liberating to not have to worry about where you're going or like pissing someone off if just somebody else is in control. I don't like to choose at restaurants. I don't like any of that stuff. I hate choice. Don't you have enough choice in your daily life?
I never had to make any decision.
Right? When it comes to where you're going to go out, what you're going to eat, I mean, can't somebody else choose? Right? Anyway, that's my feeling.
I hear you.
Some people, they love choice. Right? That's why craft exists.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway. Choice. God. Choice is the enemy. All right. What about you, Stas? What do you got for the past 3 weeks? How was your Christmas, New Year's, blah, blah, blah?
Peter Kim was here for New Year's, and he cooked a giant dinner in my house, and then he left all of the mess there, and then...
What? That does not check out at all. Oh, wait. That checks out 100%. Yeah. All right.
And then he stayed at Jack's house instead of my house, and he was supposed to help me clean the place. But then what happened, Jack?
You tell the story. I feel too bad.
I can't, Jack. You have to do it. I can't.
He had an issue with the key that I left a fresh copy of a key, and it got stuck in the lock, and he didn't know what to do about that, and he had a train to catch, so he had about an hour of trying to figure out how to get this key out of the door. And I told him,
what won? The train won, correct?
Well, yeah. I gave him permission. I said, it's fine, dude. I was like, just, lock the outside. It's fine. Just leave it. I'll, have the landlord come. And then what happened, Nastasia?
Oh, God.
And then I felt really bad for Jack because not only was my kitchen a mess and Peter never came to clean it because he was supposed to, come for that hour. He was struggling with the key to help me clean the kitchen. Yeah. I went to Jack's house. And I was like, I'm just going to see if this is a real issue or if he was shirking
Don't tell me it was 2 seconds. Don't tell me 2 seconds.
2 seconds.
Oh,
2 seconds.
Well, first of all, now let's be fair to Peter here for 1 second. Not that that's my normal mode. But how angry were you when you touched the key?
I was so angry.
I mean, is it possible that only your superhuman anger was able to get the key out of the lock?
Yeah, no, but it was crazy how it just came out. It was crazy.
Yeah, I wish I could say I was surprised. That's amazing. I love that story. Wait, I had something regarding a similar situation. Anyway, regardless, I think what this goes to show is no matter how much you've had to drink, no matter how tired you are, do the majority of the cleaning before you go to bed. It's just like you know how people say don't go to bed angry, and then 20, 30 years in, you're like, I'm just too tired. Can we just go to bed angry and wake up and fix this in the morning? But when it comes to cleaning somebody else's house, where you actually have to go back to their house again, you just have to power through it, even if you need to take drugs to do it. You know what I'm saying? Pop some caffeine.
He was across the street, Jack lives close to me, so it wasn't a big haul for him to come back over, But
still, just get that done. Why do you have to wake up into a crap hole?
Oh, because he left the dinner early to go out until 5 a.m.
But you can't cook a dinner and leave early unless you're a hired hand.
I know, Dave.
What was the dinner? What was the dinner?
It was stuffed cabbages, ossobuco, and I forget what else.
Why do you need stuffed cabbage and ossobuco? Why do you need both stuffed cabbage and ossobuco? That's like the time that I cooked 2 starches for Booker, and you laughed at me for 3 years.
Not 2 starches.
It's 2 meats.
You cooked eggs. And
you said it was good, Saz.
It was great.
Wait, what are the eggs? What do the eggs have to do with it?
No. I'm saying you gave Booker a hard-boiled egg and a chicken breast for dinner, and I said, that seems like same thing, different format.
Well, one's, one's in, whatever.
Is it the chicken or the egg? Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter. Anyway, all right. Well, anyway.
I'm sorry, Dave. I can't allow that.
There you go. Good stories. Good stories. What about you, Quinn? What do you got?
For Christmas we did a fresh ham. Like, it wasn't cured, but it was the actual, back leg of a pig. And then we sort of roasted / braised it in a sort of Cantonese barbecue spiced broth. So that turned out pretty good.
Did you flay it? Or did you cook it whole?
Whole.
Yeah, that's going to take a long time. Like a long time. And also,
It did.
Yeah. It seems like a hard problem. You know what I did for the ham? You know what I cooked? You know whose ham I purchased? So I can't remember, I think this was Christmas too, when my parents were coming over, which they haven't been into the city since the pandemic, right? So my mom and my stepfather come in for the first time to the pandemic. And I'm like, you know what? Hell with it. I was driving through Milford. And if you ever driving through Milford, Connecticut on I-95, not on a Sunday, because I'm always either doing it at night or on a Sunday, Honey Baked Ham store is open. So I'm like, I'm going to get a Honey Baked Ham. Because let me tell you something about the Honey Baked Ham Corporation. They make a really good ham. The Honey Baked Ham for a city ham, I mean, it's not a country ham. It's not a cured ham. It's not Cinco Jotes, Iberico, Bellota Fet. But Honey Baked Ham is a delicious ham. So I bought a 10-pound honey baked ham, brought it home. Here was the trick. Ready? You want to hear how I made it? I left the aluminum foil on it because it comes in aluminum foil, right? Then I didn't have a bag big enough for it. So guess what's made out of polyethylene, which is same thing roughly as saran wrap? Trash bags. So I took a tall kitchen trash bag, unscented, right? Threw the ham into the trash bag, right? But it went and spun the ham a million times to tighten it up like you do when you have something that smells real bad in the bag, and then stuck a zip tie around the top of it, threw it in the Anova steam oven at 135 Fahrenheit, which is roughly 57, for infinity, for 7 hours. And the entire thing was warmed through to 57 degrees Celsius, 135. Perfect. Took it out, cranked my big oven up to 8 billion degrees, stuck it in there, it flashed off the outside, took it out. Genius. Maybe the best city ham I've ever made in my life. And super easy. And what a pleasure it is to get honey baked ham right off the bone. You know what I mean? Not to have to slice a ham. It's so nice. And then I had ham sandwiches.
Question.
And then I used Steve Sando's Rancho Gordo black-eyed peas on New Year's to make the Hoppin' John, which was a delicious. Although I did buy his... Remember when he was on the show? And he said Ojo de Cabra beans. He has Italian versions of the same. I got them, and to pay my due reverence, to genuflect to the bean, I did it like he said, and they were good, but you know what I wish? I wish I had added stock. Or something, you know what I mean? I wish I'd added some more. They were good. Anyway, whatever. What do you say, Quinn?
Yeah, I had a question. If you're already going into a precision oven rather than an actual water bath, what is the function of the bag?
Well, at 100% humidity, you're constantly getting it's washing down. So if you look into the tray in the oven when it's on 100% steam, there's a puddle of stuff there because it's constantly washing down. And if you have stuff that's soluble on the outside, it'll just keep kind of washing stuff down and getting wet. So it's better to just put a barrier between between the atmosphere and the item so that all of the flavor and everything that is in the item stays in the item and doesn't equilibrate with the filth condensate that's going around on the inside of the oven. So in general, everything I put into the APO is completely encased.
I made that mistake in the APO before, and gave my food a 2-hour long bath.
Yeah.
It's kind of like showering.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is first of all, this is the classic mistake people make with low temperature sous vide cooking, like in general, is they put too much liquid in the bag. And so what I try to tell people, but the problem is fewer and fewer people have had old school French food, right? So I'm like, do you know the difference between like a short rib and pâte à feu is like how much liquid this stuff was cooked in. And if you have too much liquid in the bag, it comes out tasting like beef stew and not like a short rib. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, it's like there's just a different feel to meats that have been cooked in excess liquid. And in general, like if you want that, you want it. And if you don't, which most of the time I don't, if I'm not, then I don't. You know, I've never had a sauerbraten that I thought was great. Speaking of meats cooked with like a lot of liquid and acid, because it's like all acid.
Yeah.
Have any of you had a sauerbraten that like kicked your behind?
No.
No? No. All right. All right. So anyone else? What else? What else we got? Who we got?
Me, I suppose. Went to
John didn't say anything.
Went to Contra the other night. Lovely.
Oh, nice.
Good drinks. Yeah, had one of Theo's experimental drinks. I guess like the adjusted Granny Smith with some dill in there. It was really delicious.
Yeah, because we're running out of the Tarragons out of season, so we're moving away. Yeah. We had originally done a lettuce-based drink, and I was like, "Yo,
yeah, that one was."
No, I love the lettuce, but it's a pain in the
really,
but it's a pain in the butt, and it's not like because lettuce has so much water in it.
And what makes it red? What gives it that reddish tint?
Oh, they must have used the wrong
maybe
lettuce.
It just might have been.
They used the wrong lettuce.
Too. Okay.
They used the wrong lettuce. I mean, if you get the wrong lettuce, you know. Yeah. Anything other than green is difficult because like most things that aren't green that are herbs have some amount of non-other color in them, and they end up going olive drab. So, like purple basil, unless the purple basil is, then it ends up kind of a gross color, which is fine if you can't see it, but not fine if you can.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike? What did you do other than business for food and or beverage?
I just went to Mexico City for a week, which was awesome. So I got back last night, and
family trip or business
like a
trip?
Husk of a human being, family, and traveling with a toddler in Mexico City is like a lot. So that was a lot, and there was 9 adults and 2 kids on the trip, so it was hectic. However, found some time to get some great drinks and eat some great food. And I'm not like a guided tour person, but one of my previous trips I had taken this like Mercado tour, and so I took everyone on that same tour and like convinced them all to come with me just so I could eat this one taco at the Mercado Jamaica, which is a green chorizo taco, which is the only place I've ever had it, and it is like my platonic ideal of a taco. It's the greatest taco I've ever had, so we went back.
Wait, so describe the taco again. Describe it again.
No, I mean it's very simple. It is a tiny corn tortilla and green chorizo. So it's like the chorizo is, some families are making it for like 5 generations at the same stall in the Mercado. And it's like pine nuts, marjoram, parsley. She said lettuce, but I think that might have been a translation thing. Pepitas like all ground up into this like bright green chorizo. So like lower on the pork content than most chorizo.
That sounds
it's
delicious.
Absolutely fantastic. And it's just like hit on the comal in a tortilla. They use this like salsa verde, and that's it.
Two tortillas or one tortilla?
2 tortillas. Because okay, here's the thing. Like if you really wanted to make it the best, like their tortillas are fine. Like first time I went, they were better. But these obviously have been made like probably the day before.
Oh, they weren't pressing them out to order?
The move, they were the first time I went. There was like, because it was so busy when I went like 6 months ago or 5 months ago. But this time the tortilla was a little lacking.
Yeah.
It was still perfect, but like you just got to go around the corner to the little tortilleria and bring your own like still piping hot tortilla and get it on there. Because that's kind of what's the difference this time. But still great. Highly recommend.
Actually, I think you're better off
Mercado Jamaica.
Getting the chorizo from them and then going to the tortilla people and going that way.
Probably smart. Yeah, probably smart. I wanted to bring back some links, like freeze some links and bring it back because they sell them. But
they make links, not just loose.
Yeah, I mean it's like their main business is carniceria. So they're doing regular chorizo, they're doing their family's like secret green chorizo, they're doing cecina and all these other things, and then they're just like firing off these green chorizo tacos. It's amazing.
So when you saw that all the tortillas had been sandbagged, did you give it a little stink eye or no?
I mean, well, I told, I tried not to like build it up to the 8 other adults that were with me that this was like my favorite taco ever because, I as the person from that group that lives in LA, they trust me on taco. So everyone loved it and was super hyped. And like, I didn't want to bring up like tortillas.
Where are they from?
And it could be way better. With friends in from Denver, and then a couple friends in from North Carolina. We all kind of met in Mexico City for a late holiday trip. Started the year off right.
Nice.
Be out of the country on January 6th just in case kind of thing.
Yeah, well, nothing happened. Too cold. By the way, we didn't get what's the name of the new place again?
New bar's called Night on Earth.
Right. And where is it?
Yeah. So it's on Cahuenga Pass. Which is like, it's kind of what the neighborhood is called. It's kind of hard to give it a neighborhood because it's north of Hollywood. But
oh my God, this isn't another place
Hollywood.
like Thunderbolt where like even the GPS can't get me there, is it? And it's like,
yeah. Well, no, this one's great because you can find. It's easy. It's right off the 101. It's easier to find, and unlike Thunderbolt, there's like 42 stalls in the parking lot. So, how there is no parking anywhere in historic Filipino town or Echo Park where we are. At Thunderbolt, there is plenty of parking at this bar, which is very nice for us.
Who was in the car with us, Stas, when we were trying to find Thunderbolt?
Harold McGee, and it just boggled his food science mind to find this place.
It's pretty hard to find, and like we put up during COVID, we put up like actual big like hand painted signs. We've never really had signs before. We tried to make it easier, but
it was like
it's one of those things.
It says we're there. It says we're at Thunderbolt. We're on the highway, but it says we're at Thunderbolt. I don't know. Open the window. Maybe someone will stick a drink in our window. Like it was like crazy, right, Stas?
Yes. The thing I like about Mike's Bar is that it's in this weird area where we were talking about how it would be a place where porn stars from the Valley would go drink after they're done with their shoots.
Did you see any? Did you see any porn stars?
That's the goal.
Post-shoot porn stars.
It's good to start with a goal.
Yeah.
No, I have not yet. I haven't. Well, I wouldn't know.
Is there a porn star industry card?
Now.
Is there a porn star industry card that you could present for a discount at Night on Earth?
I mean, I would love that and a Hollywood Bowl show me your ticket from your thing you went to tonight card for a discount. Like those are the two things we would like to incentivize.
Well, you heard it here first, people. Like, what kind of rate are you going to cut?
Cocktail nerd business. I think it's like it all counts as industry, right? Like we give industry 15% at Thunderbolt across the board. We can do that. We can do that at Night on Earth.
15% off of your already low prices.
Yeah, and it's very similarly priced at Thunderbolt, where we kept the cocktails reasonable. And I will say it's in a neighborhood that is probably used to paying more for drinks, but we at least, as long as we can, want to keep the prices very reasonable.
So if the goal is porn stars, what do they drink? What do they drink? So in other words, like if the goal is porn stars,
we have a disguise. It's not called a porn star martini, but we have this cocktail. It's like, clarified passion fruit, pisco, cacao, a little vanilla, like basically carbonated porn star martini. It's real good.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we have a
bad influencer.
Yeah. Oh, bad influencer. Nice. All right. But do you think that's so is that what you think people would actually consume after a shoot? I bet you they want beer.
Yeah, we have that. We have Montucky cold snacks in a can. I feel like that. I don't know. I've never been close enough to that industry to know.
How's your canning set up at the new place? By the way, speaking of cans, how's your canning set up?
So okay, all right. So the nerdy part is we're not canning at the new place for a couple of reasons. One, we're like the nerdy part of this for people who may know what Thunderbolt does and how we make drinks is at Night on Earth we're 3 degrees colder on our specialized refrigeration, so we're at 16 degrees Fahrenheit instead of 19. So everything is kind of skewing a little smaller, a little higher ABV.
Oh, baby.
And so it kind of unlocks some stuff with carbonation for us. So instead of doing 8.5 to 10.4% alcohol, 8-ounce carbonated drinks, we're doing 11.5 to 13% alcohol, 5.5-ounce cocktails.
Yeah, that's what we used to.
And
pour.
because they're at 16, we're not serving them on ice. So we found Kinto makes this. Which the wife keeps telling me is very phallic, and I'm just ignoring it, this double-walled champagne glass. So it's like a champagne flute that we can freeze, but your hand never touches the place where it's double-walled. There's a vacuum in the middle. So you're not warming it with your hand. So that's what we're serving carbonated stuff in. It's been great. It really, really holds carbonation well. no real foaming off when you pour, so we can be much faster with it. So we don't need the can for speed. And this bar is like the cocktail menu, 0 water waste. So
I think it's
no shaking, no
hilarious.
stirring.
Hilarious that you like were a pioneer in lower ABV carbs, and now you're going back to the higher ABV carbs.
Well, yeah, I don't want to do the same thing 5 miles down the road. I think it's fun. Like, this place is more of a party. There's no windows. It's like it's dark. It's loud. It's more of a party vibe. It's
Mike, I think you should leave that booth, that like sexy booth where we were sitting, without a light. I think it's great.
Okay, so I bought a tiny lamp for that, like a really beautiful, like, design lamp for the corner, and we installed it, and it looks fantastic, but it lights the booth 0. Like, it did not accomplish at all what we wanted it to, so I don't know. Maybe we'll keep it. If you think it's good dark back there. I mean, yeah. You guys were sitting back there. I couldn't even see you from the bar.
I know, but it was so great for us. It was so awesome.
You need to buy the monitors from the Star Wars hotel and make it outer space.
Wait, what's the Star Wars hotel?
The Star Wars hotel.
At Disney?
At Disney.
Yeah, they went out of business after like a day and a half. But there was no windows in the entire hotel, and you had apparently you had to book a certain number of days in, and it was all you were in outer space. It was like whenever you looked at a quote unquote window, you were actually looking at a monitor that was like super high def of like space, or like Wookiees or whatever you were looking at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, whatever planet you were staying on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they closed down.
So yeah, monitor's free. I'm sure there's a dumpster somewhere.
Money over here, Dave.
What?
I don't have that.
No.
So I don't have Disney money to be buying this type of stuff.
No, that's what I'm saying. They went out of business. It's free.
Shit,
it's free.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'll take it. Yeah, it's like outer spacey. I don't want to make it. Try not to be too on it. I don't want to be like a space themed bar. It's just like kind of otherworldly in there. The whole bar is this like recycled plastic material made from old appliances. It's like translucent blue, and it's all backlit, so the whole thing lights up, and there's like animations that can do things. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it is.
You know what I like that
visually very wild.
So like I love, and so like I'm getting my 80s, my 60s confused, but like old Liquid Light show, like oily, like Barbarella, like Dino De Laurentiis Sky, like oil light shows. Aren't those things sick? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'm thinking Lava Lamp in my head. What are you?
So Lava Lamp is like, anyone could have version, but it used to be that people would get like all of these glass, like slightly curved glass.
Yeah,
like,
the Joshua Light Show.
Yeah, and they would put oil and alcohol and dyes, and they'd spin them, and they'd be like and overhead projectors and stuff, and like they'd play behind Floyd, and they'd play behind, all those.
Yes. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, man, they're awesome. Oh, my God. They're so awesome. And the cheapest version in the 70s when I was growing up was they used to make these like liquid crystal like fidget toys that you would play with that were just giant liquid crystals, and when you touched them they would change color depending on the temperature and they get all swirly. That was like the little kids version of that stuff. I love that stuff. Swirly. Anyway. All right, listen. I'll say what I did real quick. I finally got my 3,200 watt deep fryer. So I took my cheap deep fryer off of Amazon. I remember last year, if you were paying attention, it didn't have recovery time fast enough to fry properly because it was only 1,750 watts. So I stuck my fryer on a burner. I was going to use induction, but the induction wouldn't register the pan. So I stuck it on a gas burner because I really wanted to cook. And I melted the entire bottom of the fryer. So I bought a new fryer, same exact model, and then I stretched and bent and modified it so that there are now two heating elements in that deep fryer. 2 independent plugs, both with the safety breakaways, so it's all safe. And I plug into 2 separate 120-volt circuits because I don't have 220 in my apartment at all. I only have 120. So I got 2 circuits, so now this little fryer, which holds a gallon of oil, is rocking at like between 32 and 3,500 watts, depending on what the voltage happens to be that day. It screams. Recovery time is freaking instant, right? So I then built Coroplast, which is the stuff they make like mail carrying things out of. It's the corrugated plastic, the white stuff. I made like a hut that fits over the top of the fryer and around it. And then I took a 4-inch, which is relatively small but pretty big for this, grow fan. So like the stuff that the marijuana people used to use for like the vent fans, right? The 4-inch one. And then ducted it from the thing with a big, like 200 or 300 CFM, like 4-inch fan, quiet too. Boom, straight out of a tube, out the window. So you cannot smell a thing. And it's like dead quiet. And the sucker just cranks and cranks and cranks and cranks and cranks and cranks. So I like, and cranks. I love it. I mean, I fired it up because Booker was like, I need squid for my birthday. By the way, I'm not going to say how I know this because I'm not going to put anyone on blast. But yes, it is true that if you eat too much squid ink, it comes out black the other end. You can color your entire insides from top to bottom black with squid ink if you consume enough of it. Don't ask me how I know. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I did. Yeah. And I got a laser cutter. I haven't laser cut food yet, but I have laser cut things that I've used for food. Anyway, all right. Should we do some questions real quick and then finish up on the rest of the stuff? Should we do some? Mike, you gonna join in on some questions?
I'm here for anything my limited knowledge can assist with.
Oh, by the way. Oh, yeah, well, we'll wait to see if we have time, which we won't. Tamales writes in, after a duck hunt last week, the guide, tasked with cleaning the ducks, committed a horrible sin of breasting out the meat and discarding everything but the skinless, fatless duck breasts. Oh, my God. What kind of guide is this?
Sad.
What kind of guide? What were they doing? What is wrong with this person? I mean, they should guide themselves into the dunce corner. So, working with what I have, I recirculated some breasts at 130 Fahrenheit, which is 54 Celsius last night, and then briefly seared them off in a ripping cast iron pan. Maybe should have used a Searsall. Maybe then it would have been better, right, Stas? Maybe they should have gotten a Searsall Pro from bookeranddax.com. Just saying. Makes everything better.
We only have a couple left. Actually, Dave, we only have a couple left, and we only have a couple Spinzalls left. So, get them now, because we know what the tariffs are going to be like.
Well, we know they're going to be worse. We don't know how much worse they're going to be. We know it's going to be worse. Because I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but apparently, if you put tariffs on goods that are coming in from other countries, it's the other countries that pay those tariffs and not the consumers. Incorrect. And also, I don't know if you know this, it's just easy as pie for small businesses like Booker and Dax to just switch their manufacturing of something like this from a place like China to the United States. It's super easy, right, Stas?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also super easy for, like someone our size to just say, hey, hell with it. We'll shop out this thing that we only make 2,000 of a year and see if we can get all of the factories who are interested in bending over backwards to spend all this time figuring out how to build it in, like, whatever, Thailand, Vietnam. We can get it done, right, Stas? No problem.
Yeah.
And the good news is, Stas, is that Quinn and you and I have enough of a cushion of money from Booker and Dax that we can just go into a hole for a while and wait for it to become profitable again. Oh, that's the opposite of what we are. Yeah. All right.
So get them now because it is, it's not looking good.
Yeah. Oh, so it's looking worse than normal. Okay. So, yeah. Well, small losses are the new big win. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Jen said something amazing the other day. She was like, not terrible is the new perfect. Anyway, so working with what I have, I recirced some of the breasts at 130 and then seared them in a ripping cast iron pan. Texture and doneness were perfect, but there's an obvious sulfury taste to the duck. I had a crushed garlic clove in the cast iron along with some thyme, but the off flavor didn't seem to be that kind of sulfur. Is there anything I can change with my process? Yes. Here's the issue. Duck, especially wild, but back any game, but duck, even when it's like, Long Island, like 2-day-old duck that that they fatten as fast as can and slaughter as soon as possible, will go, I call it livery. You're, I think, calling it sulfury, but I think it's the same note if you cook it too long. So if you're going to circulate, which I still do circulate, and this same goes true, by the way, for any, also things like tenderloin can do this sometimes, and it also gets fibery. So it gets both fibery, kind of mushy, gummy, and livery. And it's just you can't cook it that long. So you have to keep your circulation time on something like that under 45 minutes. Right? Because you could probably do a little bit longer, but I've had liver and sulfury notes start coming in around the hour mark, so under 45 minutes. And the good news about something that thin is it doesn't take that long to heat up. You can do it in well under 45 minutes. You know what I mean? Like something that, especially the idiot ripped off all the skin and fat, like that thing's going to cook through in probably 30 minutes, you know? And so just pull it faster and sear it, and you shouldn't have that problem. But that is I wouldn't say well known by anyone that we trained back in the low temperature cooking stuff at the SCI, but it is a known fact. Let's put it that way. Balloon knot. I buy potato starch from several sources. Gram for gram, they have different thickening power. What determines the thickening power of these kind of refined starches? You know what? I looked it up, balloon knot, and I wasn't able to find anything. Are you sure you're not buying potato starch from one person and potato flour from another person? Because those things are different. It is true that some places like China, Europe, they grow potatoes especially for starch, and they use refined starch from those potatoes, and there can be some difference in like the actual starch granules from variety potato to variety, whereas like potato starch is made in the U.S. is typically made from waste streams of potato processing, so it could be different, but I wasn't able to find anything specific. So just please verify that you're not using potato flour. MJ says, my girlfriend makes a bunch of soups and
Well, actually, sorry,
What?
Dave.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, if you want to jump down to Tom K, there are some cocktail questions that might be more relevant to everybody, including Mike.
All right. Well, okay, hold on. Let me finish, MJ. My girlfriend makes a bunch of soups and pastas with kale, and an ingredient which I happen to detest. She claims there isn't another green that provides the same bite when cooked down. Is there a replacement you suggest? Maybe spinach. No, collards. Kale? Collards. Collards is better kale, right?
Yeah.
No?
Dandelion greens, too.
They're more bitter.
Yeah, a little bitter, but yeah.
So much better than kale.
Yeah. Chard.
Yeah.
Either Swiss or not. I mean, you don't have to rep the Swiss folks, but like, you know, I would go with any of those collards, because collards are good. The longer you cook a collard, the better the collard is, and it's going to keep bite, right? If you're into bite, right? Chard. Yeah. What was the other one we said? There's another one. We just said.
I said dandelion greens, but it's
bitter
too, yeah.
I mean, like, if you
Mustard
like bitter.
greens.
Yeah.
Mustard greens are great. If you like bitter, escarole.
Yeah.
If you like bitter, escarole. All right, now where am I going, Quinn? Hey, let me ask you a question, Quinn. Who sent these questions? Why didn't you put the cocktail questions to the top then?
Well, I did them in order of chronological.
Boom! All right, so where am I going? Lucas? Am I going to Lucas,
Tom
you're saying?
K.
Am I going to Lucas?
Tom K.
Tom K. All right, I'm sifting through the questions. Hold on a second. Tom K. I've tried making a few drinks carbonated with nitrous oxide, N2O, but it dissipates extremely quickly, and the only noticeable result seems to be in the foam of the drink. Online, lots of people assume this is because N2 should be used, not N2O. All of this is wrong. Don't listen to people online. But people online, people you can write anything online. Even if you have no experience, I can go online right now and tell you how to take someone's appendix out. It does not mean that you should follow my advice on how to remove someone's appendix.
I think he's using the word carbonating to mean like solubilizing gas into it. I think he's just is like misusing the word carbonating here.
I can't tell you.
Keep going. We're going to give the benefit of the doubt.
Mike, I cannot tell you how many times I have said nitrous oxide. I've been using it for decades, and I say nitrous oxide, and somebody says, you mean nitrogen? I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know what I mean. You know what I mean? Like, why would you think I don't know what I'm talking about? Anyway, like, what other that I've said so far, like, leads you to believe that I make common errors on the gases that I use and what they're called? You know what I'm saying? Like, but anyway, it's just this mistake in particular irritates me, and I just rewrote the liquid intelligence section on this because I'm so irritated by it. Okay. Dave and friends, what drinks uniquely showcase nitrous oxide? Do you have any suggestions for nitrogen drinks, tips and tricks, do's and don'ts? No, I don't showcase. I use nitrous oxide for... Nitrous oxide tastes sweet, and it it's weird on its own. I used to use it in mixtures, but the problem is that in mixed gases where you're, as Mike was saying, carbonating and also using nitrous, because the pressures are so high, it dissipates very quickly, and so the effect is lost a lot quicker than if you used either nitrous alone, which is gross for most people, or carbon dioxide carbonating alone. So because I can't control people, I can't ventriloquist puppet people and make them drink the stuff that I hand it right away. I've moved away from that. Nitrogen, I don't really do the nitrogen thing. It's nitrogen is insoluble mostly, so it makes tiny micro bubbles. Think Guinness, right? So there are nucleation sites for carbonated drinks like Guinness, or if you for some reason, if you want a drink that doesn't normally have this to have a rolling head of tiny bubbles, you could use nitrogen because it is very insoluble and makes micro bubbles, versus nitrous oxide, which is sweet and very soluble and fat soluble, and is used in whipped cream and to get high with. Mike, what are your thoughts on this?
So nitrogen we use at Thunderbolt because we have an espresso martini on tap. It is only nitrogen. It's not blended gas. We don't want CO2 in there. It pours with sort of that rolling cascade like a Guinness. That's sort of the idea. So we have a direct draft system. We pump 50 psi of nitrogen into a keg that has a diffuser stone at the bottom, and then pour it out through a stout faucet, and you get the Guinness cascade. Which is really the only use I have for nitrogen. And it's also the only cocktail I'm comfortable serving at the temperature you can put a keg at without having a really big custom refrigerator. So because it's served at refrigerator temp, espresso martini is kind of the only thing I think that tastes good at that temp. So we serve that on nitro, which is nitrogen when we talk about it.
Right.
We use that term for many things.
That's the other thing that pisses the hell out of me is that nitro can mean nitrogen, or nitro
or nitrous oxide
can mean nitrous oxide. So I stopped using nitro, except for I already had nitrous infusion. Nitro muddling is nitrogen, right? So it's completely confusing, right, to the average person.
But it sounds cool on a menu, served on nitro. People think that's cool.
Yeah, remember? Have you seen? There's two separate documentaries out on American Gladiator. Speaking of nitro, I've only seen one of them, but nitro got totally jacked on steroids. Gladiator. But you need to make an American Gladiator because that's right in your time area, right? A little later, I guess it's 90s. Mm-hmm. You need to make an American Gladiator themed cocktail for me. Not that I'm an American Gladiator, but so that I can come consume it and pretend that I am Nitro. Nitro.
Yeah.
And a discount code for them, too.
Gemini.
Yeah.
So nitrous oxide, we're really only using for what you have developed in the first book for infusion. We made the hot pepper tincture for a long time. We were doing... We're doing on our original menu. We had a cacao nib into bourbon that
it's good for cacao.
Nitrous oxide infusing.
It's great for cacao.
Yeah.
Nitrogen is great for pressurizing kegs. It's also
it's inexpensive gas that you can. It's inexpensive and relatively insoluble and doesn't affect the flavor. We also push wine with it.
Right. The problem with nitrogen is that the tanks don't hold as much of it as they hold of CO2 or nitrous because nitrogen doesn't liquefy. So unless you have liquid nitrogen and you're using the gas takeoff at the low pressure for your nitrogen, which is kind of too low to push because it's 20 psi or something like this, you go through the tanks quicker. It's not expensive, but you do go through the tanks quicker.
We have... because we knew we were going to have this espresso martini on tap at Thunderbolt from day one. Our CO2 company also provided us with a nitrogen generator that pulls nitrogen out of the atmosphere and puts it into a holding tank. So we just pay monthly and we have unlimited nitrogen.
That's money.
Those are really common now, and we got a sick deal on it. We pay $80 a month for it, but now
what? $80 a month, and how much does it cost to run? I want that. What?
I mean, it costs your electric bill. It runs on just a regular 110 circuit. It's not using a ton of power.
And it
But they're
removes
really common.
It
now.
removes
That's
the
like,
oxygen. It removes the
It's
oxygen.
not compressed air. It's not compressed air. It is nitrogen.
How does it
Pure
remove the
nitrogen
oxygen?
pulled
Do you
from the
happen
air.
to know how it works to remove
I don't
the
know.
oxygen?
No, I don't.
Oh,
I
well,
don't. I'll send you the link. The company, they all do it now. Airgas does it. New CO2, which is like the big
You know who I
global
bet
one,
doesn't
does
do it? T.W. Smith. They have such a wild hair up their butts. They are not the
Really?
friendliest.
I don't know them. Is that like East Coast thing or is that a New York
New
thing?
York City thing. There's two
Look at New
places.
CO2 and you CO2. They're kind of tyrants and run the world and sort of have a monopoly. But that's who we have at Thunderbolt. We have a different company at Night on Earth. But all the companies out here do these generators. It's a big box. You got to kind of find room to mount it somewhere.
And it has definitely enough. It pressurizes enough nitrogen.
yeah,
that
man.
Oh, sweet.
I mean, it fills up. There's a big holding tank. Like it's filling up it's like probably a third the size of my 300-pound bulk CO2 tank.
Oh, you have curbside CO2 too, man.
Yeah,
There is someone in the Lower East Side I know who has
best.
curbside CO2. Do you love the curbside CO2?
It's the greatest. It's the greatest thing ever. It's 6 years in. We've never run out of CO2. We've never had to change a cylinder.
How
we use a lot
much
of
did it
CO2.
cost to get the system put in? Like, what was the ROI on that?
$0.
What?
We didn't pay an installation. I installed all the lines myself, so I ran all the lines.
Well, I mean, I trust
and
you.
did the carbonated water system. But they do the same company quoted us for $99 to install, and that was with them running everything to a front of your building curbside port that they plug into. Pretty cool.
I will say the only time
anyone
in food service has died from CO2, it was because of the high pressure line breaking in a liquid transfer situation that I'm aware of.
It wasn't asphyxiation.
No. I mean, it might have been, but it was as a result of that line breaking. There was a person who died from, but I don't think they were in the service side. I think they were in the keg cleaning side. There was some, remember how you used to be able to get kegs that were made of fiber, like carbon fiber? Yeah. One of them blew up when they were changing it. I think that's why you don't see him as much anymore. Killed the guy.
Oof.
During the cleaning.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the CO2 monitors out here now everywhere, and better that way.
I mean, that makes
Scares me
sense.
in the walk-in.
We have one because we keep our CO2 down in the basement. But yeah, I mean, I think the person who was killed when the liquid line went knew about it. You know what I mean? It wasn't the silent killer when the liquid line goes.
Yeah, totally.
All right, let me see here. Ray says, "Hey everyone, I'm so jealous now, man. Son of a gun." All right. Ray says, me and some friends for New Year's felt like it would be a fun idea to find who has the best bar nuts. Curious to hear what the community here thinks is the best place and what are some essentials for a bar nuts. I'm going to open Ray's question all the way to snack mix. All right. What are some of the essentials? Also, is there a favorite mix of various grocery store snacks that y'all like? Ideally, if they're at home, then not having stale up super quick is always a plus too. Vacuum that stuff down in mason jars. Get mason jars, put them in the mason jar, vac the mason jar down. They make lid connectors for mason jars that fit. I plug it into my commercial vac, but they also fit on Punier vacs. They keep stuff real good. Granola, snack mix, wheat. That's why I have no bugs on any of my wheat. That's why I can have 100 pounds of wheat in a regular apartment and never bugs. Okay. Personally, I like having wasabi pea in the mix, like the ones in the Chinese and Japanese grocery stores. What are your thoughts? What are people's thoughts on snack mix? Stas, do you like snack mix or hate it because other people can touch it?
You mean at the bar? Yeah, I'm not into that much.
If they serve you your own bowl, do you trust it?
That's good.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, that's better. I was at a bar in D.C. that I really like called Astoria, and they serve goldfish as their snack.
I was just going to say that. Yes, goldfish.
All right, which goldfish? Yeah. Pretzel, cheddar, or blasted?
Cheddar.
Oh, cheddar.
Yeah, Joe's got some goldfish opinions over here.
I like just the plain blue. Celery salt.
So they make it. Oh yeah. I remember those old school. Yeah.
Like Julia Childs used to snack on those on PBS.
My favorite snack mix of all time was when the Marriott Grand Marquis in Times Square, back when they used to have a rotating bar, back when you could drive through Times Square. On the 7th or 8th floor, they had a bar that overlooked all the taxis and all the traffic going through Times Square. Mayhem. And it was rotated, and they had a bald-headed piano guy, and Jen and I could not afford these cocktails because, we had just got out of grad school, we had nothing, and these cocktails were hotel cocktails, so they were super expensive. And I would go get a Manhattan, and I would pound their snack mix and listen to the bald-headed piano man play stuff. And so, I still to this day remember how much I love that snack mix, but I can't tell you what was in it. But because we were paying so much for the cocktails, I ate so much snack mix. You know what I mean? I felt like I would eat my weight in snack mix. But I don't know. What do you guys got? What else you got? What's the snack mixing up?
I like a dive bar popcorn machine. Does that count? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like in LA, there's a bunch of the old dive bars have popcorn machines.
It's not a nut. What do you think about giving somebody nuts that? What do you think about what kind of bar do you have to be where you can give someone in-shell nuts and then deal with the detritus? And first of all,
you have to be a Texas Roadhouse, in the middle of the country, right?
And just peanut shells all over the floor.
Peanuts all over the floor. Yeah, it's that's sort of the motif they're after.
Yeah, I like peanuts. You know what I bought? So hickorynuts.com. Ray at hickorynuts.com has his new shipment of this year's hickory nuts in, and I bought a bunch of grade B hickory nuts, and they are really, really, really hard to crack. I have a new cracker, but here's the problem I was thinking about. I was like, I could bring these into the bar, and it takes 10 minutes to crack one. So if you were going to only eat these hickory nuts, you would die of starvation. Like the way that they used to use them back in the day before they had fancy nuts, is you just smash them into a pulp and then make a nut milk out of it and strain it. You know what I mean? Because you could not crack these suckers. But they're like God's pecan. But the point is that as I'm cracking, I realized you could never even as a joke, I couldn't bring this into the bar and give someone a pound of nuts and then wait for them for a week to shell them all, because little chunks of nut would fly into people's eyes. You know what I mean? And end up in other people's drinks and stuff like this. So you couldn't trust people with a hard shell nut. But I think a cashew is a delicious nut, but it doesn't say bar. Do you feel what I'm saying? A cashew is too soft for bar. Too soft. Delicious.
Too sweet too.
Oh yeah?
I think they're a little too. I love them, but that's more of a dessert for me.
Yeah. Virginia peanuts are a delicious nut for a bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pistachios, high end. What about shelling pistachios? What about sitting there popping pistachios?
Oof.
No?
My cuticles and nails hurt just thinking about it.
Huh.
I mean, yeah,
It does slow down. It slows down your intake. It slows down your intake. I'll say that.
Yeah. So the question is the function
You
of
can
the
crush
nut mix?
pistachios if you're not shelling them. You know.
Right. Yeah. You just pound them. My question is the nut mix there to give your hands something to do because you're bored, or is it there because you're hungry? Is it what is it depends on what the function of it is, right?
Doesn't it keep you drinking? Isn't that as a bar owner, wouldn't you want,
salt.
if you
Right?
Yeah,
right.
but it also gives you something to do. It's the same way that when I'm at a party, I drink a lot more than when I'm home because I don't have anything to do and I don't want to talk to the people.
Right.
So my hand keeps on doing something, and whatever my hand happens to have,
It's a fidget.
it's a fidget, a fidget drink. You're like,
yeah.
boop, boop, beep, beep, boop, 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 boop,
Hey,
beep, boop, boop, boop.
curious about pistachios. Why did they dye them red?
I used to know the exact answer to this, but it's because certain pistachios were kind of red, but some would come in discolored, and so then to cover it up so that people thought they were all the same, they just dyed them red.
Oh, crazy.
But it had something to do with certain Iranian pistachios, and then when California started producing them, and they didn't look the same, so they just dyed the hell out of all of them bright red, and my hands were stained when I was a kid. You definitely couldn't do that now. I think at a bar, people get bent if their hands turned red. Every time.
My son would love it.
Yeah? Some red dye number, whatever? Yeah. I'm not against food coloring, obviously. All right. Well, Ray, we can think about this more. All right. BKP 12. I would love to hear a discussion of non-alcoholic cocktails for the home enthusiast. Any ideas to replicate the complexity and body of a boozy classic cocktail at home, i.e. Manhattan, Negroni, old-fashioned, etc.? Some of those are easier than others. The carbonator cap and CO2 tank, well, that's not going to help with a Manhattan or a Negroni or an old-fashioned, for sure. Yeah. If you have any good ideas. And then there's a thing about the Surgeon General. We'll get into that later. What do you think, Mike? What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is definitely thanks to you, but we're using things like polydextrose and glycerin in our cocktails to really sort of give them more body. I think, my favorite sort of like low-tech do-at-home thing is we do like a lychee daiquiri at Thunderbolt, where we just take the whole can of lychee, liquid and all, blend it into like a fine puree, run it through a not-so-fine strainer, and then we add 1% by weight glycerin and 1% by weight rum extract, and that becomes like our base, and then we do 2.5 ounces of that, 3/4 ounces of lime, shake it up, serve it, and it's like a very good, very full-bodied daiquiri. It's kind of a slower sip.
Yeah, and if you're carbonating, like I would do what he says, get some polydextrose and some glycerin so that you can lower the sugar level, and add something that like catches you in the back of the throat, like a tea or some wormwood tincture or something like that when you're carbonating. But just lowering the sugar and adding a bodying agent like glycerin or polydextrose gets you 9/10 of the way there, I would say. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we do. I like using things like Virtue in carbonated stuff, things that sort of bring acid and flavors you're familiar with in boozy drinks into it. But,
yeah. All right. One more quick cocktail, if we can. Joe, question for Dave and Mike. Have you guys played around with using Buchner funnels for filtration at all? Wondering if they'd work well for speeding up straining milk punches. I can't afford a Spinzall at the moment, so I'm looking for the next best thing. I would not use a Buchner funnel. Just get a milk bag. Buchner funnels are a pain to clean, and they cost too much money. I just don't see any reason to have one. I just don't see any reason to have one. Therefore, filtering precipitates out, on filter paper, not for bar. I think they look cool. They make you look like science. But what do you think, Mike?
Okay, this is a shout out to Austin Henley at Cato who showed me this technique. I love Spinzall. I'm a huge Spinzall guy. We use them for absolutely everything, but I do not use them for milk punches because I have found the vastly superior way is to take a deep Lexan, insert into that Lexan a 4-inch perforated hotel pan, put inside of that hotel pan a linen tablecloth or apron, and pour your milk punch through that. You can do, 10 quarts at a time that way, put a lid on it and stack those 4 high, stack that set of 4 high. You can just have that running all night. It is the clearest, the most efficient way to make milk punch, in my opinion.
Yeah, surface area.
Hyper fast. Yeah, lots of surface area to build a raft. You sort of have to run the first 3 minutes worth back through the raft once you built it, but then you can stack those high, have them in the back of the house. You're not having to hang a milk bag. You're not having to leave a fly trap out overnight. Everything's covered while it runs.
And
although you're incredibly efficient.
You're triggering memories of back when I used to do freeze-thaw clarification, and Nastasia and I had every freezer in the French Culinary Institute filled with hotel pans of grapefruit juice, and then the next day every single fridge in the French Culinary Institute, because we had to do an event for 1,500 people with freeze-thaw grapefruit juice, and I wished I was at that point just buy clarified grapefruit juice from a company. All right, I'm gonna give Mike this on the way out. I crunched some numbers, and there are a few liqueurs that make their own blender drinks without adding any sugar. You ready for it? Strega.
Oh, great.
2 1/4 Strega, 1 lime, 180 grams of ice. Hellfire Bitters blend. Much better than you think. Much better than you think. Anyway, what do you think about that? Crazy.
Damn.
Math. Mike, thanks for coming on. Go see a Night on Earth, not Night of the Comet. That's his 3rd bar. Hasn't opened yet. Night on Earth in LA. Happy New Year's. Cooking Issues.